yeah, we love that song because you know what? We're talking about green lawns. You have a beautiful front lawn.
I have a beautiful lawn.
Beautiful.
It requires a little bit of maintenance and care. You got to do certain things to make it look that way.
And you have these sprinklers. It's
come
almost
on.
it's poetic.
It looks like the Bellagio in Vegas, man, with like a water show when they rotate and they actually use less
They're
water.
They're efficient, yeah.
But they get water out evenly, and it's like a symphony's playing when the sprinklers come up. I just stand out there in awe and watch them.
See?
Yeah.
Eric Stromer there. I'm Cindy Dole. You're listening to Home Wizards, and let's just say, what if you didn't want to have a green lawn? I mean, I know that it's part of the American look. It's part of our, part of baseball and apple pie and all that we've grown up with. But let's say you're thinking about maybe changing things up. You want to have a beautiful front yard in your landscaping, but without any grass whatsoever.
Yeah, and by the way, I think it's important to note that lawns require a tremendous amount of water. So if you're someone that's interested in saving a little bit of money, when it comes to your water bill, this is the first place to start, is get rid of some of the lawn, encroach back, lose more of it, make more garden beds, things like that. So,
and do good, not just save on your bill, but save the environment because of the water that's a precious resource.
If you live in Los Angeles like we do, you're essentially living in a desert, so it's really kind of you're working against nature a little bit.
So, you know what? Of all things, four-leaf clover could actually be a really pretty, lovely front lawn. Now, you might go, whoa, that kind of sounds like weeds. You know what I mean? Like lawn purists are going to go, that is a weed. That's just gross. But the idea is, there actually has been a movement where people, like even back in like the 1840s, people were using this clover as a front lawn because they felt that it kind of looked like velvet. So the idea is having this kind of a deep green color with little teeny tiny flowers, little white flowers. This might be something that would, kind of give you those white blooms and bring honeybees. So consider it. I mean, clover,
it's
right? It's
natural looking. It's beautiful.
It's a little bit different, right? Another idea is, what about if you have some low-lying areas in your yard that won't dry out? You could have a rain garden as a solution. You know what I mean? Have some kind of like shallow depressions in the ground that collect the water from the roof, right?
Oh, that's kind of cool, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this now can become like an area with mulch and rocks and maybe some low-growing ground cover. And that becomes your quote-unquote rain garden. And it's a lovely, also a great water feature that you can have
that's a great idea.
As your front landscape.
Sure, yeah.
Now, if you're in areas where, you do want to especially save water, we love our succulents. Succulents are popular everywhere. It's called xeriscaping, right? And the whole idea is to not use water, to be really drought tolerant.
Sure, I have one of those in my backyard near my pond.
Yeah, what do you have in there?
Just all succulents.
See?
And it's virtually no water, and it looks beautiful, and you get flowers that do indeed bloom, contrary to popular belief, and there's a ton of color, and I love it. I think
some
it's a great
wild
option.
grasses?
Yeah, those grasses, too, are beautiful, and they look like sort of waving fields of grass when the wind comes up. It's a really nice option.
And with some nice big boulders that are artistic,
That's right?
And then you have your water feature that gives you the sound and the movement.
Sure.
So you could be thinking about that. That would look lovely in a front yard. In fact, we have our pond in our front yard, and we have virtually no lawn. And
you also have trained koi that just show up when you call their name. They're amazing.
By the way, I think we've lost one of our other koi.
No.
I think so. I know. I think I've lost Angel to a darn blue heron.
No.
I think so.
All right.
But we love our pond. We love all that. And we have little river rock pebbles. And that is our quote unquote lawn that kind of dresses up beyond the pond itself and the boulders. So
very
thinking
pretty
about that.
Yeah.
Why not even have dandelions? I mean, I know.
Hey, listen, if that's a new potential fashion, I'm way ahead of the curve because I don't spray the poison on the lawn at all. I don't like to do it.
Okay.
So, because my kids are out there playing, the pets are always out there. So they come up and I mow it once a week. They don't really come that much until I mow, and then they're gone.
Well,
again.
they need little or no water.
Tell me about it.
And they don't need to be chemically treated with fertilizers. And so if a brown spot develops, don't worry about it. And just a little mowing You know what I mean? All you need to sit on your porch with a glass of iced tea, and you can just watch those dandelions.
Watch them
take
blow in the
over.
wind, yeah, and then get everybody else's lawn full of them too, yeah.
You can become a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Now, artificial grass has come a long way. I know that not everybody loves it. You might think, oh gosh, that's so football stadium or, miniature golf. But we've seen some that have that almost dewy look, right?
We have. Now, here's the deal with the artificial grass. If you use it in tandem with real other live plantings, it can look kind of cool. Like, for example, a friend of mine has sort of a wild overgrown garden, but then they've got a little putting green looking thing that just is sort of an accent piece. And then there's
it's woven in, right?
It's kind of woven in, and then it works. So if it's just sort of like a fake carpeted lawn, I think it looks kind of lame. But this way, I think it's tastefully done.
It's more integrated, right?
And again, the whole point is to kind of de-emphasize the amount of water. So this is a great way to kind of save on water, but also have that green feel and look to it.
And the idea is when you install it, you're going to tear out the existing grass, and then you put the foundation of this compacted sand so that you don't have weeds growing under the new faux turf, right?
Right.
And a lot of times we'll have to roll it out in these sheets.
And they'll have the weeds, the weed screen that keeps this plant life from coming back up again.
But it is, basically, think about no mowing.
Yeah.
No more.
And you just need a blower, and you just blow the stuff off, and it looks
watering,
fine.
You're done.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that also is very drought tolerant, and it's very popular in different parts of the country. It's called Meadow Gardens. And it basically, when you think of a meadow, you think of this beautiful, almost like the sound of music, right? An alpine grass, land area surrounded by trees. But you can have something like this in your front yard.
You could.
And the whole idea is you have pathways and benches and add certain plants that really kind of short grasses.
You have to kind of do it in a way that it doesn't look like the monsters moved in and you've abandoned the house. If you, like you said, if there are pathways and little specific areas or vignette areas around that yard, it can look really great.
You might want to put out, create a little sketch, right? And and think of using maybe some native plants, that don't require a lot of maintenance. Plants that may do a little research. Plants that are from your county and your state. That's a great idea. Yeah, because they thrive there because they're from there, obviously. So that's a great choice. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. And by the way, moss. Yeah. If you have a shady area, it can be hard to grow grass. But moss is a great and a hardy ground cover, and I love that kind of apple green. Gives it that really vibrant, it's a very popular color.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different varieties of it. And so, a lot of times it's used in Japanese gardens with maples and so forth. But why not have that in a beautiful front yard? The idea, though, is if you're in a real warm, dry area, the moss will turn brown unless you water it.
Yeah.
But the idea is if you're in an area where it's kind of more shady, it'll be this thick carpet. And guess what? Weeds don't show up.
No,
in moss.
they don't. No,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
and so maybe just with a little blowing, that blower of yours.
Yep,
which
I love. I do love it. Yeah, one of the best maintenance tools ever.
Now, edible landscaping.
Well, yeah, I've seen this a lot lately. Where
this could be your front.
You have raised beds, and you have.
Not talking about a cornfield.
No. We're talking about tomatoes and chives and all the stuff you eat. Yeah, it can be really pretty.
And fruits.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that these are, you can scatter it so that there's always something growing and flowering, and it doesn't look like it's, weeds.
It looks like a well-manicured farm stand.
It looks artistic and beautiful.
Yeah.
And the idea is to really come up with the right kind of plan so that you can maybe put some of the right watering systems in place, right?
That's the key. It's effective and efficient watering. You're not wasting anything. I hate when I see sprinklers hitting the cement in the street, and you know that it's just going into the drain in the city, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of make them directional and get them really watering what you want to water, and drip lines and all that stuff, it really just makes a huge difference.
So a lot of creative things that you can do. You don't have to have lawn. If you don't want to.
You don't.
Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, thanks for hanging with us. We love to make you feel good about where you call home. We call it improving your home and improving your life. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. Check us out at yourhomewizards.com. And until next time, remember this, the key is under the mat. Bye-bye.
I'll light the fire while you place the flowers in the vase that you bought today.
I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast.